Lessons My Father Taught Me, and a Newsmax contributor, and he's on this show frequently, and we're glad to have him. Good evening to you. I have to ask you, though, about this war of words tonight between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump over this election and why she lost. Are we doomed to relive this 2016 election forever with these two?
Well, I certainly hope not. I think the media is more caught up in this than the rest of the public. I think the rest of the public wants to get onto the business that they need to get onto. I think they want to hear about tax cuts.
Michael, the media or them, they're the ones who are fighting about it. We're just reporting.
Oh, I know. I said in a tweet here a couple of weeks ago, I said, if I was the chief of staff to the President of the United States, I'd break his thumbs and get a roll of duct tape. I got to tell you, I just think that would probably be the best thing for him. And that, Wrights, if you're listening, you might want to do that. Because I think what happens is instead of let it go away and get onto his issues he needs to get onto, he keeps on playing to the Hillary Clintons and other people that keep on talking about Russia and what's going on. And if I could say something, Don, I mean, I almost laugh at this stuff. Because it seems to me the media wakes up every morning thinking that history just started that morning when they opened their eyes. If I could take you back for a moment to 1979, when Senator Ted Kennedy goes to Senator John Tunney of California and asks him to personally go to the KGB, to ask the KGB to get in touch with Moscow and let Moscow know that Kennedy will take a positive note on them going into Afghanistan and invite Russians to America to be on television. And if they'll do that, it'll help him defeat Jimmy Carter for the nomination of the Democrat Party in 1979. Well, guess what? That doesn't work. So in 1980, during the election, Jimmy Carter goes to Armand Hammer, the industrialist, asks him to go to Dobrynin.
So what are you saying in the interest of time? What's the bottom line here? What are you saying? You're talking about back channels.
The bottom line is this is not the first time Russia has tried or been involved in an election. It used to be where we knocked on their door and asked for their assistance to defeat at least Jimmy Carter and Ronald Reagan back in 1980. And everybody's treating this like this is new stuff. Yeah. This is not new stuff. This is what Russia does. If they're not asked, they try to get involved themselves.
Yeah, but the timing is different. And we spoke to General Michael Hayden about that, and he said this is, to him, this is not back-channeling. The timing matters, and also the time that we can't look at the 1970s now through a 2016 or 2017 lens. There was no internet. The times were different. But, you know, anyway, I get your point. But I have to ask you, is it different to you that Jared Kushner reportedly proposed using Russian facilities and equipment to communicate with them secretly, intentionally keeping information from all U.S. entities?
But, Don, that's a leak. We don't even know if that's fact yet. We really don't know. And what happens is reporting leaks and what have you,
they haven't
we don't
denied
have the facts.
Michael.
What?
The White House hasn't denied it.
Well, yeah, the White House hasn't denied it. They say turned it over to their attorney now. But the reality of it is, we don't really know what happened in that meeting and what went on. When we find out what went on, fine. But guess what? Collusion is not breaking the law. Just like Kennedy, he didn't break the law. It was a political move that he made, just like Jimmy Carter. It was political. It wasn't breaking the law.
Wait. Collusion is not breaking the law?
Not in this case. No, it's not collusion. Collusion is not breaking the law. What law did they break?
You mean if the Trump folks colluded with the Russians, that's not breaking the law to influence the election?
What law?
Isn't that treasonous to do that?
What law? No. What law?
Okay,
the Democrats have colluded with the Russians before.
It seems like that's the whole reason for this investigation by the intelligence community, from the FBI, from the CIA, and they said, if it did occur, and if it did occur, then that's breaking of the law. No.
What law?
You have to ask a lawyer.
Nobody can name the law. Nobody can name the law. Just like the Democrats colluding back in the 70s and 80s didn't break the law.
People go to jail all the time, though, Michael, for collusion. Even beyond the government and just everyday business. And
collusion
when it comes to the mafia, people go to jail all the time for that.
Name the law.
Okay, so then why
would the law that they broke?
Fine, I know you're going to point about the law, but why would the FBI be investigating if it's not against the law?
Because this has become so politicized through the whole process. And you know as well as I do,
the entire intelligence community is being politicized?
What? This has been politicized on every side of the equation.
With our
Every
intelligence
side
community, you
politicizes
think
it.
it's being politicized?
It is being politicized. Hillary politicized it in her talk the other day.
No, I'm talking about the intelligence community. Listen, I think you're right. I think it's being politicized by politicians, but I'm not so sure by members of the intelligence community.
I think the intelligence community got to a point they didn't have a choice. They really had no choice but to go into this because nobody was believing anybody else on the planet. Nobody was believing Democrats. Nobody was believing Republicans. I think they had no choice to go in.
So when they started investigating possible collusion with the Trump campaign back in July of 2016, at least that's when we're told the investigation started, you think that that was political from the FBI? Because nothing was reported about them investigating the Trump campaign, but they did admit that they were investigating Hillary Clinton.
They were investigating Hillary, they were investigating Trump, they were investigating both candidates when it came to this last campaign. But again, collusion. What law? What law? If they find, in fact, they colluded with collusion,
I think that collusion is probably a broad
the Russians.
Term. And within that, you'd have to figure out exactly what they were colluding to do, if it was treasonous, if they were allowing a foreign influence to have influence, a foreign government to have influence in our election and over our country.
Don,
I think that there are laws in that are broken.
Don, have you interviewed one person that changed their vote because of the Russian collusion? One person.
I haven't interviewed anyone.
Have you?
Yes, I'm sure there are people. I have not.
But
I can remember. I've interviewed a lot of people.
Have you?
But
have you got one person who said, you know something?
Wow,
I changed my vote.
I have heard people who say, yes, all of this investigating and all of these ties to the Russians or Hillary Clinton and emails, that changed my idea of who to vote for in this election. Yes, absolutely so. People have changed their vote because of that.
Well, they need to be on the air and find out how many millions were there to overturn the election.
You don't think people who either thought Hillary Clinton did something wrong with the emails or that Donald Trump may have done something wrong in some way, you don't think that influenced them in the way that they voted?
Hillary lost because she ran a terrible campaign.
No, that's a whole different point. I don't disagree with you on that.
That's why she lost.
I don't disagree with you on that. I do think that she should take more of a responsibility for her own actions and why she lost. But you don't think that people being investigated had any influence on how you voted?
But at the same point, they were investigating Trump. So
that was not announced.
For tat at that point.
No, it's not. No one was investigating
Trump. But Trump didn't have an email service. Trump didn't have an email service. Trump didn't have an email service in his basement.
Michael, he did not, that we know of. All right, no, I'm just being facetious there. But no one knew Donald Trump was being investigated then.
You know, Donald Trump was being investigated every day. Turn on the news. There was nobody saying anything good about Donald Trump. Look at the last program that came out.
But no one knew there was an FBI investigation, is my point. Will you just admit that? Because it happened in July. James Comey didn't announce it until the hearings a couple months ago.
Nobody knew there was an FBI investigation, true. That would not have changed the election.
Okay.
That would not have changed the election. People
if they had known Donald Trump was under investigation, you don't think it would have changed anything?
No, wouldn't have changed a thing.
Okay. I'll let you think that. So I appreciate you coming on. All right. Good for you. Thank you, Michael. Always appreciate it. Great conversation every time.
Thank you, Don.